today's video. In today's video, we'll look at the scenario in which the trade wars go hot, in which they turn into an actual war. We got Canada, obviously. They would go after them. Not only did Mr. Trump like to tariff them, he wants to annex them. And then Europe, yeah, tariff. Everybody has some. And then Arabia, because, well, Arabia is just going to be a part of it. And China, because they're needed for this. And New Zealand, Australia, Japan, and Korea, because why not? And all of NATO and the EU, yes. Even better. And what begins is, at first, he decides to invade Ontario and Quebec. Wherever I lives, yes. That's first. And I don't even know. And quickly, they take over the southern part of Canada and the capital. But Canada just hid in the Arctic. Yeah, the government hid in the Arctic. That's what they did. And then they go into Montreal and Quebec City. And then he claims victory over Canada. What he doesn't realize is that's not the only part of Canada. And then Canada doesn't let them have it. They get angry and they invade and take over Vancouver and Vancouver Island in anger. And then Alberta is like, yeah, we'll revolt. Yes. And why does Alberta look like that? I don't know. I don't know why I gave them awful borders, but not a big deal. It's Alberta. And then they manage to connect a corridor with Alaska. And they continue it as an encirclement is formed over here. And well, in the mountains, basically, of British Columbia and Alberta. And now look at the front. And then they go into the rest of Eastern Canada. But they don't take it all over yet. Because they got a detour. And they invade Mexico. Because we all know the US president doesn't like Mexico. And he needs to move the border wall further south. And they can just have land to put everywhere. He doesn't like him. Yes. He wants land to put you in if he doesn't like you. Or if he claims he doesn't. Or if you make him not like him, you need to go to the U.S. state of Mexico. And while landing in the Yucatan Peninsula and a landing over here, quickly Mexico City falls and victory is proclaimed. But do they not realize? Yes, you need to invade the mountains because they decide to hide in the mountains. That's how much they don't like you. You're basically creating. And Vietnam shows up in Mexico. Yes. Although, they're actually attacking them. And then this area falls in the south. And they cut it off here. And well, Mexico crumbles. And well, a pushback, yes, a pushback happens in the Alberta rebel area that has American soldiers. And well, that gets pushed back and Trump gets really angry. Wait, he's normally angry. So angrier than he normally is. And then some more. And then times that by 10. And then you get how angry he is. And he gets rid of a bunch of generals. I guess he thought that was a good idea. Purges. And then he launches an attack around Winnipeg as he takes the rest of the population. And that's nowhere near where I just said he took. But not a big deal. And Canada is just in shambles. As they advance in the north of Canada, try to advance south, they quickly get held back somehow. By maybe they're just too cold. Yeah. They're complaining it's too cold. And well, they take parts of Quebec. And Quebec doesn't like this. Oh wait, Quebec probably doesn't like anything, but that's not a big deal. Let's go to Arabia, another area. And they launch an invasion in the Persian Sea. Definitely Iran's not going to retaliate now. Definitely not. And well, they land in and they come in the Red Sea way. And you know why they invade like this? You know why they invade Arabia? Because Netanyahu said to, in Israel. Because yeah, they definitely did. And now they move up and take Jeddah, and then they move south and take Mecca. And then they're like, we need Riyadh! And they take Riyadh. Saudi Arabia surrenders, because what else could they do? And with starting to not advance as fast, they manage to take over Labrador. Coastal Labrador, not all of it. Unless you're asking Quebec, but don't ask them. And they get invaded. Invaded. We will invade everyone. I guess Manifest Destiny has returned for America. As they advance here, cutting off a bigger chunk of Ontario. But don't worry, they're literally walking through the Arctic at this point. There's nothing there except Canadian Shield and Tundra. There's literally, like, they took 90% of the population, or even 95%. And the Albertan rebels, along with American forces, link up here. Meaning, Canada is split into 5 areas. And well, they need help, because they can't do anything. So they get Russia, a very competent nation, I mean, yeah, very competent. They can even take the 15th strongest nation out. And they join under one thing. Wait, that did not work. I guess Russia claims the ocean now. I guess the ocean's part of Russia now. It's actually land now. No, I'm kidding. Oh, great. Another edit. Yeah, that didn't work. Now let's bring them in. Because everybody needs to bring incompetent nation into the war. Yet they can't get Belarus to join, because Belarus probably has common sense still. Or maybe they don't. And let's see how poor this goes. How poorly this goes. Let's give them what they have. Nothing changes, realistically. And yes, this is a lot more land. They take more land, and then it stopped. And then they go into the Baltics, and they take land. And even Finland. They took over the Baltics, parts of Finland, parts of Poland, and everything. But let's see what China has to say about this. And it doesn't look good as they cross the border. And then they get Japan and South Korea's forces up here in Australia's. As Russia's forced to move troops over here. And lots of them. Because the Chinese army. And as the troops arrive there, they climb this mountainous area and they come out and start a new front. You might think this is the worst that could happen to them. No, after this happens, Trump gets even angrier. And he causes the entire problems, an entire wave of problems in Europe. As this happens, as Russia falls, and he then blames his favorite group to blame. As we all know what they are, his favorite group to blame. And well, the front looks like this. And America gets really angry. And they literally obliterate the nation, leading to the capture of it and all of its great resources. And so he starts kicking people out of government as fair sets in and completely blacks out everything. Because he wants to be a dictator now. A paranoid dictator who is at war with everyone, basically. And well, somehow Canada's still holding out. I guess. And then American soldiers start freezing in Canada. Yes, they're France from World War II. Not World War II. That didn't work. France from the Napoleonic Wars. He thinks he's Napoleon now. Probably declared himself the emperor. And as Quebec falls, and then the rest of Labrador. As they're fighting in ice now. Yes, very great. Fighting in ice. Great idea. And they go after Greenland, because who doesn't want Greenland, according to him? Greenland is so great. Let's invade Greenland, because it's definitely green. He probably thinks it's green, though. And well, he realizes it's actually ice and is confused. So then he invades Iceland and is also confused. And then Canada ends up like this. They better hope they don't run into some Canada geese. Oh wait, they did. And they had to bring more troops. Because somehow geese and penguins are now fighting them. And how did the penguins get there? I didn't realize Heard Island was involved. Is that it? Or is it like here? Somewhere there. And they're at war. Yes. At war. And while that's not right. That doesn't matter. With Canadian forces deciding, yeah, we might be in the Arctic, but what are they going to do? We can take the rest of the Arctic. As they invade northern Quebec. But, oh wait, that wasn't right. But all these nations just somehow start winning. And then a bigger purge happens, basically the military. Yes, great. Great day to be here. And while they move in and they take back all the eastern areas as forces arrive. As all the other nations arrive in the northern front. As they manage to push back to the border. And yes, more purges happen. But they still think they won somehow. And somehow they got there. Yes, how did the forces get there? Yeah, they used paratroopers probably. Or maybe they used some skis. That's probably how they got there. And then Alaska suddenly declares itself part of Canada. Yes, Alaska switches sides. And then California, because we all knew this was happening, decides to form a republic. Because that's what California is to do. Just declare independence randomly. And then Mexico somehow gets liberated really fast by the joint armies. And in the north, this dictator is getting more paranoid as he proposes even worse ideas. And well, nobody even knows what's going on in this place because everything is all outside communication is like stopped. And an invasion of Arizona, Nevada, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, they can invade both. With Canada coming and being like, yeah, as they land here, and they get rid of the White House again. Not get rid of it fully. And while a civil war breaks out, yes, a civil war. Who's it against? Oh. Half his supporters, yes. Yes, they're all like, no. This isn't happening. And within a day, they take over this side. And over in this front, they manage to take a lot of land. And while this leads to the collapse of the USA. And as you can see, they occupy all the land. And they decide to continue occupying it. With them winning. And yes, wherever Trump went, who knows? Nobody's found him. He's missing. He's in his bunker. Yeah, that's where he is. And well, that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe. Bye, guys!